All right, and we're off. Both runners starting in the sanctuary, and Power Glove to start with, so that's pretty nice.
That's an amazing little start there. So we'll see. I believe both of them are setting up, if I know their strategies, they're setting up Houlihan. You may lie to me. SuperNinTaylor is setting up Houlihan, though.
Yeah, that's actually a convenient and not convenient glove, because the glove opens escape, and yet they don't have any bombs, so they can't do anything with it yet.
So Yume heading over here, going to check to see our first tree pull, and it is, big 20 on a tree pull. That's going to be nice. It's going to mean that this Houlihan room is going to have less positive action to it over just doing tree pulls.
A nice magic drop from the crabs, only useful the one time, but at least you get that magic refill. I didn't catch what that was.
I didn't either, and SuperNinTaylor giving a shout out to the Houlihan Room 2017 winners. Ben, of course, if you do win the tournament, you get your name listed on that tile in the Houlihan Room. Not many people check it, but SuperNinTaylor did. So you may pulling a map for Turtle Rock, so we'll have a little bit more knowledge at this point. SuperNinTaylor, meanwhile, is going to the South Kakariko route and pulls 8 bomb drops. What? Okay, he doesn't even have to farm bombs.
That's pretty nice right there. Enemy drops coming through in a pinch.
Meanwhile, Yume ends up getting some more rupees here and also pulls the blue mail out of the Thieves' Hut. I did not see what was on the maze race, but looks like Taylor is going to go ahead and go there anyway.
Yeah, it must have been important. Probably a key or something. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, it's a small key.
Hey, a pod. That's not a bad small key to have. Usually runners try to get a couple of them before going in there, especially if you don't have the hammer and the bow. You may going ahead and buying bombs at this point in time.
Yeah, with 6 pod keys, it's a lot more likely to. It's a lot easier to find those. Sometimes there's so many of them, and we saw a big key on the library, so hopefully boots will come into play here sooner rather than later.
It certainly increases the likelihood of boots coming into play. Yume pulls another big key to Thieves Town. Uh-oh. Early Thieves Town big key.
And the interesting thing about that is, of course, that it only unlocks one chest in the back of Thieves Town, so you have to make the decision, do you want to go in there for that one chest, or do you want to maybe hold out for the small key so that you can get everything when you go in there? Sometimes you're forced to just get that one chest and whatever else you can get in there and go back later, but some people like to put it off.
I thought it unlocks 2 small key or 2 chests plus the boss.
Logically speaking, it unlocks just the Maiden's chest because of key choice.
Okay.
So you have to have the small key in order for the boss or for the top floor chest to be in logic into play.
Another pod small key on SuperNinTaylor. Yume does pull quite a bit of value out of Blind's basement. Not only the Cane of Samaria, but their first sword.
And we had a Skullwoods key, the mitts, and a small key to Turtle Rock, and the flute in the well. So the well is also stacked today.
Called it Stacked-a-Rico.
Yeah, and a pretty convenient place for that flute right now. Just walk right over and just activate it right away.
So with mitts already, we're only a Moon Pearl away from Dark World access already.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they find next, because right now they can get up to Death Mountain, but it's only good for a couple of items. Flute and mitts this early sometimes makes you think Checkerboard Cave or Desert for the Pearl.
Oh man, Checkerboard Cave is one of those out of the way locations I didn't even think about. But yeah, I guess that is in there logically. You don't need the Moon Pearl to be able to mirror away from that. That would be trolly as heck.
Yeah, that's one of those like fun little side cases where, you know, flute bits mirror. You know, sometimes you just have to go into desert. Like I think we saw the Moon Pearl on the land mollas sometime last week. So it's just one of those things that can happen. So if they get the mirror soon, that's what they might be thinking.
We see Yume going to check and see if going to see that key. NinTaylor is going to be heading up north into the Lost Woods. We'll be getting his green mail, banana hat, as well as checking some other locations.
I have a question in chat. Why is Dark World access so important? Basically, any kind of access you can get is important. The Dark World access increases the things that you can do by a vast amount.
Yeah, that early Dark World access, kind of no matter where you enter the Dark World, I mean, if you think you have 5 locations in Hype Cave, you have the Digging Game, Stumpy, not to mention Pyramid access, you know, the overworld locations that you can check just from getting Dark World access is pretty significant.
Yeah, and plus there's 6 or 7 things you can get in Skull Woods depending on what item set you have. Alright, so SuperNinTaylor is heading towards Lumberjack Cave. Maybe we'll be able to get a view of what it was this time. I think Yume is a little cut off at the top, so we couldn't see it.
Yep, and as soon as we check SuperNinTaylor, answer a question in chat. Just a heart piece looks like. So the question in chat was, which big keys are not logically necessary in order to go ahead and beat the dungeon? And help me out here, Recitador. I believe the dungeons are Swamp Palace. You don't need the big key. You don't need the big key for Skull Woods. And you don't technically need the big key for Ice Palace, I believe, right?
I just want to make a side note to note that we just found the bow in Uncle's secret tunnel, so that's pretty nice. But to answer your question, logically, Swamp and Skull we don't require. Logically, Ice Palace key is always required if you have to defeat Ice Palace, but you can avoid it with bomb jumps. The question is, again, is when do you do that because of the chance of having to go back in for the big chest if it has any progression.
Yeah, and the big chests you always need the big key for. It's just a matter of, do you gamble skipping that if you can?
Oh, and I forgot to note the ice rod off the Uncle, so that's a trolley item off the table right there.
Ice rod and bow this early? What is this, a jet seat?
Oh, it's too early to call that for sure. And of course, the other question is, ice rod this early? Does that mean Turtle Rock Pendant? Because it seems like it does more often than not. Yume is going to go further down in Hyrule Castle here, while SuperNinTaylor checks the dam. The fun part about Hyrule Castle is sometimes it has good items, but if you don't find the Hyrule Castle small key, it's technically a logical sequence break. So it's something that you can safely ignore most times. You just have to sometimes maybe keep it in mind that I'm not supposed to have this yet. Like say if you're doing a search for the pearl and you find something down here, you might not want to use that item to try to find the pearl.
We saw Yume taking a few hits on his way down. Seems to be setting up a death warp once he can get down here.
Didn't look like the dam had too much, so SuperNinTaylor is going to take it right over to the mini Moldorm cave. 5 items over here, possibly the Ice Rod cave after that. It's always nice to have a sword to do this instead of having to just do it with bombs or something, you know, like the hammer, which has a really bad hitbox for mini Moldorms.
Absolutely. And another pod small key in Zelda's chest. Oh, wow. Already 3 pod small keys. Big key to Misery Mire, 100 rupees. Another small key to Skullwoods, and ooh, a big key to Skullwoods.
Well, we say but that's actually both small keys to Skull Woods right now, which means if they find the fire rod, the game is telling them Mothula is on the table. Logically speaking, once you have both those keys, you can kill Mothula and be still in the logic and find something that the game wants you to find.
All right, so we see Yume doing a slight sequence break here in the dark room. Again, the game logic does necessitate you cannot do a dark room unless you have the lamp. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do it. I mean, there's lots of runners who definitely can do these dark rooms.
There are 3 Skullwoods keys, Math Girl, but one of them is always inside the dungeon, so... hey, there's the Moon Pearl. So the 3rd Skullwoods key really isn't anything that you need to worry about as far as logic speaking. You're only those 2 that are out in the world.
So NinTaylor, certainly with advantage at this point in time, has the Moon Pearl, has the flute, has the mitts, going right to Meyer?
And yes, I know you need the Pearl for Skullwoods, obviously. That I was just speaking for once you have that Skullwoods access, that Mothula is on the table. You also need the Fire Rod. That wasn't a case of let's go to Skullwoods right now, that was just commenting on the logic.
So, Recedador, we are at under 12 minutes in, and SuperNinTaylor going to his froggy home, which is Misery Mire.
Trying to avoid the murder dactyl there.
That would be a one-shot at this point in time, wouldn't it? With what he has.
Blue Mail, maybe not, but I'm not entirely sure.
That's not fun. Castle Tower, small key, in logic.
Yeah, and did we catch what the medallion was, or did he check that?
I think he checked it. It looked like it was ether, but it was right on the edge of the screen, so I only got a glimpse.
Okay, so Dark World access, strictly in the case of Village of Outcasts and Skullwoods portal, so that's not as open as you'd want it to be. The hammer is always nicer to have as far as Dark World access. And SuperNinTaylor is going to go ahead and clear out a little bit more in the light world to see if he can't find something more interesting to open something up. Maybe he finds the hook shot and he can go clear off a lot of the mountain. Not a bad play.
So chat is making sure to let us know because we didn't necessarily catch it. Yume found the Ganon Tower big key in that dark room in Escape.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I did totally miss that. I was trying to focus on the medallion for Meyer. Whoops. So we won't get trolled by that today. We see Hera is a pendant, a blue pendant.
So we already get 2 of our pendants, Hera and Desert. Oh my, this is 2 light world pendants. That's pointing heavily towards a possible pedestal seed.
Yeah, it does mean there is a lot less access needed for those particular pendants, so that's nice. Or that makes the possibilities a little bit more interesting. SuperNinTaylor going to go into Skullwoods, and having found that Skullwoods big key, he can clear everything out here in the front, which is nice. A lot of times you end up having to double dip for the Skullwoods big chest.
And with that key that he already got, he'll be able to skip that wonderful Spike Gibdo room and just head right on over from this room here.
Yeah, those 2 Skullwoods keys aren't useful for much outside of telling you for what the logic might be expecting, but they do come in handy so that you can skip that one trap room. Alright, well, we've got the hammer, so there's our full-on Dark World access.
And Yume gets his Moon Pearl, so we'll be following SuperNinTaylor shortly into the Dark World, I imagine.
So that Skullwood's big key was pretty useful today. Because a lot of times, you know, it only unlocks one item, so people are just kind of, I don't care about that. But sometimes that item can be extremely helpful. Looks like Yume is rescuing the old man in the dark, I think. That's where he's at right now.
Yeah, interesting. Yume, having done the escape area with Bow and Ice Rod, kind of has an interesting set here. NinTaylor does pull the shovel and then quits or takes a death warp. It'll be interesting because NinTaylor is kind of being led further and further away from escape, and we know that Bow is at least going to be required at some point in time.
Yeah, I've had that happen a lot where I just find everything I need and do escape at like 45 minutes or something like that, something crazy like that. But it's rare for somebody to avoid it like for the whole game, so I'm sure he'll probably find it before too long.
Well, I have no doubt he'll find it. I'm just questioning how long it's going to take him to get over there, which will be kind of an interesting choice.
Well, hopefully he'll go there before he goes to pod. That'll be the best thing for him. Looks like the red boomerang on Spectacle Rock, which I don't think anybody's going to be caring too much about.
Can't imagine, no. Although, okay, Yume is going to pick up. I did not see what was in this cave. Oh, another small key.
All right, another pod small key, so that's 4. That's a lot of pod access right there, which can get you a lot of items. Not necessarily all in logic because the lamp is required for a lot of the back stuff, but I'm pretty sure these guys can probably handle these dark rooms, at least better than I can.
All right, so Yume going to turn in the bottle at this point in time. Did pick up a bottle on his trek, so we'll see what Sick Kid is holding for us. No, he's just paying us. Get out of here, I'm sick.
Yeah, so Yume gonna go into Dark World right after this, and we'll see if they do Skullwoods first or go south. Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor's in the chess game and gets the mirror. How nice!
That's very nice.
That actually makes this southern route that he's probably about to do a lot more convenient because he can turn in the blacksmith and take that purple chest for a ride and get the shovel spot all at the same time.
We did see on a map check 5 and 7 were Skullwoods and Turtle Rock respectively. So still no idea where that last pendant is, but we have 2 of the 3 pendants, and at least 2 of the dungeons in Dark World are crystals. So still waiting to see what else we have.
Well, we won't find out from that map. Unfortunately, Ganon's Tower map and Hyrule Castle map still exist, and they are total junk.
Absolutely. They're what you wish you don't want to pick up.
Alright, so the real question is SuperNinTaylor going to peace out after these first 4, or is he going to take the gamble on doing the back and not having to come back for the final chest, the big chest?
Looks like he's going to go ahead and gamble, and I don't necessarily disagree with the decision. Being able to go ahead and clear this out. Blind is one of those bosses that will take the same amount of damage no matter what sword he's hit with, so it's nice to be able to do it. Plus, having that early big key access certainly tells me that this is something that he was supposed to do.
Alright, so Yume's cleaning up Skullwoods, so they're going to be happy with what they find. They're probably going to go to Village of Outcasts right after that, find that mirror, and also we'll see if they decide to do what NinTaylor's doing or if they just avoid it for now.
Oh, and chat points out that Yume skipped the big chest in Skullwoods, and that's going to be real rough on him because that is the hammer.
I wonder if he's going to get it on the way back out, maybe?
Maybe? I hope so.
Yeah, he's just going to do it the vanilla way, it looks like.
If you're not confident in your bomb jumps, I mean, this makes logical sense. And I'm right there with Yume on this, so...
Yeah, I mean, I can do the bomb jump, but sometimes I just find that it's a lot less irritating and takes just as much time to just drop in there and do this.
Especially given that Yume has such little health at this point in time.
Yeah, so far the back of Thieves Town hasn't produced much. We still got a chest downstairs and the boss to see what we get, and also we don't know if it's a crystal or pendant yet, so that'll give us a little more information.
Meanwhile, Yume is going to head over and do kind of a northern Hyrule route, looks like, maybe checking Bumper Cave and some of these other etc. locations. Or not.
Well, he's only able to check the Bumper Cave right now since he doesn't have the mirror, but he's going to get it soon. And I imagine he'll go right into Thieves Town too. We'll see if he goes to the back. And I imagine that after SuperNinTaylor gets done here in Thieves Town, we're going to see the southern loop with the mirror checking all that stuff. SuperNinTaylor doing a nice job of staying on this blind script that if you do everything exactly the same every time, you can do this without damage. Looks like he's gotten a little off script now, so he's going to have to be a little careful. But gets it done nice.
Oh, and there's our last pendant.
Okay, well, we've got all the knowledge we need then. I guess theoretically you might want to know which one the 5th or 6th crystal is, but... I think we already know what 5 is, right? So which one the other one is, but if it were me, I would just skip the bomb shop and figure it out from looking at my menu after I defeat the crystals.
Yeah, that'd save, a couple seconds at that point in time. So let's see here. So right now with our 3 pendants, Thieves Town clearable. We have Tower of Hera, which we can't quite get to. No, we can get to Tower of Hera at this point in time. It's just a matter of having that big key. And then Desert Palace, we're waiting on a fire source and, just a fire source and the big key. So we're close to being able to clear all 3 pendant dungeons already. As if the keys fall, that's good news for pedestal levelers.
Yeah, for the pedestal, they need to find the small Thieves Town key, the big and small desert key, and the Tower of Hera big key, as well as the fire source, I think would be all they need to get all 3 of those. So I would be, if I were me and I started seeing some of those keys, I'd get a little bit curious about that pedestal.
Absolutely. Taylor's going to go ahead and grab Jeremiah. Won't take him on a world tour, just taking him right around the block.
Question in chat why the small Thieves Town key, for logic purposes, the blind is not actually in the logic right now without that small key. So digging game wasn't much. We've got hammer pegs the slow way. Where's the boots when you need them, right?
Yume does take a death warp. Will not be clearing out blind, so that'll be an interesting gamble.
Well, he's only got 4 hearts, so I don't really blame him. I'm not sure. I think SuperNinTaylor did a check or 2 that got him an extra heart container, but yeah, blind on 4 hearts, even with the scripts, it's pretty dicey.
Oh, I don't blame Yume at all. I'd be super nervous about going into any dungeon right now with only 4 hearts.
Blind isn't not in the logic because you could open the door to the big chest, and not have the key to open the upstairs door to bomb the floor. Which is basically a lockout until you find that other small key. Alright, so Cane of Brian on the Blacksmith, that's nice, at least for if you like to have a little bit of protection in your pocket.
In the meantime, he is taking Gary's lunchbox on a trip. Yume is going to be following right behind, it feels like.
Yeah, it's pretty standard at this point with what they have and where they're at to just go ahead and do all this in one go. Clean up the world as they go around the south here.
And we're also going to be coming up here directly for SuperNinTaylor a Hype Cave check. So ladies and gentlemen in chat, Hype Cave is either hype or dud. Give us your grades. Is it going to be a hype cave or a dud cave or a meh cave or what kind of cave are we looking at?
Well, we've gotten so many good items so far. I'm going to say it's somewhere in the middle, maybe with a key or something that they need, but not much else. It's my vote for today.
Yeah, it definitely feels like we're in meh cave territory. I could see getting like a big key to Tower of Hera or Desert Palace at this point in time. Maybe a fire source. I would be happy with a fire source. That would totally make my hype cave if I were them.
Alright, so we get to see what's in Gary's lunchbox first, and see if it was worth the lugging it all the way down here.
Nope, not even remotely.
Yeah, maybe if it were a full heart container, a piece of heart, not as much. Question in chat: where did Yume find Bo? He found it in the uncle's secret tunnel, along with the ice rod.
Yep, SuperNinTaylor has not done any of his escape, and the more items he gets that kind of moves him in other directions, the longer it's going to take for him to go back and do that. Now, I have no doubt he will eventually, because he'll have to, but...
Well, he has the mirror, so he can do an interesting thing here and go around to the pyramid and mirror into escape, which is what I would do in this situation.
Alright, Hype Cave starts off with just a 5-arrow capacity upgrade, Master Sword, Tempered Sword, big key to Ice Palace, and a map to Misery Mire. Okay, that's... You know what? I'll take it.
Yeah, I think we can give that some hype. That was pretty nice. And I think SuperNinTaylor is going to continue around to the... Oh no, he's going to go to the bomb shop and check which other crystal is the big bomb crystal.
Ice Palace. Okay, so wait, Ice Palace. Okay, it's not quite vanilla, but Ice Palace and Skull Woods, so...
Yeah, now he's going to go to the pyramid, so I think that he will probably mirror into the castle and just check all that while he's there. And he can also check the first chest in Aga Tower logically, and depending on how he feels about Dark Rooms, he can check both chests.
That's right, he did pick up the one key that's in Aga. Doesn't feel like Aga's required, especially since there was nothing on that treasure chest, on that lumberjack ledge, I'm sorry. So at this point, we don't think Aga's required.
Yeah, the Aga Dream should be pretty dead, but still open to the possibility of those chests actually being something they need. Oh, there's a nice find right there. Very important key because it opens the entirety of Swamp Palace.
Absolutely. The small key to Swamp is one of those items that can definitely, you know, mess with players at some point in time.
Yeah, Pyramid's actually a pretty nice place for that. I mean, it's a lot less trolly than some of the places it can end up.
So SuperNinTaylor is opting to go ahead and do the escape port, or the Aga Tower portion first, which is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what he does when he gets out of here. We'll see if he wants to save his portal and go to Catfish, or if he's just going to jump down and do escape.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty important to have, so that's a nice find. And it looks like he is comfortable enough with dark rooms to go up here and find out what's in this maze.
So help me out here, because it looks like SuperNinTaylor has only had 2 pod small keys. Meanwhile, Yume has 4. Where were those other 2?
Where did Yume go? One was on the mountain for one. That's and one was in escape actually. So he should be getting one of them soon.
Yeah, this seat is heavily pointing towards pod. Plus, you already have the bow and the hammer. Yeah, that looks good to go to pod at this point in time if I'm these runners.
Yeah, if they know the hammer jump, they can go ahead and full clear every item out of pod. Well, also if they know dark rooms, and they probably do. I don't know if they know the pod dark rooms, so some of those are a little bit harder. But they can definitely get most of the items in pod with 4 keys and the hammer, yeah, or all of them actually if they can do the dark rooms. So they're just retreading each other's steps right now. SuperNinTaylor is going to get a pod key here, the bow and ice rod when he does the uncle. Yume is coming here to Mire, which don't believe had too much. But he has the mirror, so he can do more checks that SuperNinTaylor couldn't at the time, because he can go into Desert, and he can do Checkerboard Cave.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see what Yume ends up finding over in this area.
Question in chat, do we have knowledge on lamp? We do not know where the lamp is right now. We can possibly, I don't know, make some guesses, but I don't think we have enough information to really narrow it down enough yet.
Now, the one thing that, the lamp can be restricted for Death Mountain sometimes because of that dark, but because of an early flute, we know that it possibly could be on Death Mountain. So our normal strategies for figuring out where the lamp is are kind of moot at this point.
Yeah, the flute just really opens up the places the lamp can be, including inside Turtle Rock itself, which is, terrible.
Ooh, powder on the lamp in Desert. That's rough.
Okay, so that's 2 interesting things locked by the boot. The powder, which is a fetch quest, and a big key in the library. So,
Yume finds the second small key to Castle Tower in Desert.
Yeah, and we know they don't need that second Castle Tower small key, so it's basically useless at this point. Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor is doing the Dark Sewers, so they should get their GT big key here in a minute. We get Checkerboard Cave, which is another big key.
Big keys are us, feels like. And it is Desert Palace.
That's not as convenient having just come from Desert Palace. It is convenient because it's right there, but he just came from there.
Still no fire source, though, so still can't beat the boss, but we'll be able to check that big treasure chest. Man, if that big treasure chest has our fire source here, wouldn't that be something?
Alright, there it is. SuperNinTaylor gets through and gets the chest. He has his Ganon's Tower big key. So I imagine he's going to come out here and do the escape, or the uncle secret tunnel. I think he's thinking about it because of where he placed his portal, how he wants to do this.
Okay, how do I do this? Let me see.
Because I'd imagine that he wants to go to Catfish after this, so he's going to have to think about where he wants to mirror out in now.
Oh, didn't quite get outside of that area, so he's mirroring back and forth a little bit. A little bit of wasted time here.
That's not a super helpful
Yeah,
spot
it's
either.
not, yeah. That's not a good spot either, Taylor.
Yeah, he's probably going to want to just mirror by the steps. That's like the safest spot to me. There we go.
So I think that YumeTsubasaCH is going to get these two items, especially the bow, and kind of think to himself, uh-oh.
Yeah, it is interesting. Getting that bow might drive him to pod instead of. I'm assuming catfish was what his original goal is because it's hard to route that in at any given time. But that bow changes things a lot as far as access and pod goes. You can save some keys there. Looks like
Looks like, yep.
Yeah, I think we were about to say the same thing. He's doing the same thing as far as checking Aga Tower here since he has the mirror. I actually really like to be able to do this routing in Keysanity, having the mirror and just mirroring into the castle. It's pretty nice.
Especially with Tempered Sword. This can get a little bit daunting if you're still with only Fighter Sword right now. It takes a little bit of time, but both these runners were able to clear this out relatively quickly.
Yeah, SuperNinTaylor taking that bow, he's going to go straight to pod and start clearing stuff. That is a lot of access, so not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, he's going to have one fewer key than Yume, although, again, from a logical perspective, Yume did sequence break to get one of those pod keys. No, he didn't. I take it back because
actually,
he just, yeah.
I was going to say from a logical perspective, one of those keys is logic broken because I haven't found the Hyrule Castle small key. So there's 3 keys in logic right now, which actually gets them access to that one chest in the back that's right above the rupee room. But not much else logically, but they can go ahead and get some of the stuff in the dark rooms if they want. But it looks like he's going to go to Eastern first. I guess he did not go in here when he was checking Sahasrahla.
I do not believe he did, but I mean, this is being able to route these two together when you have the bow, and the dark rooms here are not terribly challenging, so this seems fine to me.
Yeah, without the big key, he unfortunately can't full clear it, but 4 items is still pretty nice. Meanwhile, Yume decided to take the catfish route, and we'll see if he chooses to mirror in and do Zora. Without the flippers, he's going to have some other stuff that he has to leave behind up there, but he can at least get the big fish out of the way and see what kind of scam he's selling today.
I like that we just acknowledge that Zora is a scammer at this point in time.
Yeah, every once in a while he comes through, but for the most part, eh.
You hear that, Zora? Have better items. You have junk.
Catfish just a full heart container, but when you're so low on hearts, that's not really a terrible find. Alright, so we are going to get the big fish check here.
Just a heart piece on the ledge, so won't have to come back for that, I don't believe. I mean, he could, but...
Yeah, so if he wants to check anything else up here, or if he gets flippers, he'll have to come up for the waterfall. But he can at least know that he doesn't have to rush back here for an item on the Zora's ledge, which is like kind of awkward and out of the way because you have to walk all the way around this again. Meanwhile, Eastern so far not really paying out, but we're about to see what the lamp locked item is.
The most worthless of keys, Hyrule Castle small key.
Well, the good news is that 4th pod key is now in logic. That's about all that means for the runners. Still not worth going out of your way to figure that out, though.
Absolutely not. So interesting. SuperNinTaylor is going to be using the mirror, and then the hammer might dip into. Oh!
Oh man.
Vanilla Big Key! Holy cow for SuperNinTaylor!
That is super nice. And this dark room coming up is a little bit trickier, but it's also pretty doable. So he can go ahead and clear this dungeon all the way out if he wants.
And he's absolutely going to do that. That is an amazing pull. I know he was hoping for that, but it didn't seem like it was going to happen. That's huge for SuperNinTaylor, and I don't know if Yume is going to actually do that.
Meanwhile, Yume is actually making the play I didn't think about, because with the hammer and the mirror, he can clear most of the mountain off.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying before SuperNinTaylor pulled that key. You know, he can go ahead and check a couple of these treasure chests in Tower of Hera, but yeah, with that mirror and the hammer, he can go ahead and full clear Light and Dark World to Death Mountain.
Yeah, get his knowledge on what the Turtle Rock Medallion is, and he can't do anything in Hookshot Cave at this point, unfortunately, but, you know, who knows, maybe the Hookshot is actually up here. Very possible.
Weirder things have happened. Oh, and Dead Rock locked. Poor Yume.
Alright, Taylor getting a little trolled by the Armos Knights here, and gets him down for just a heart piece, and a crystal, of course, which is nice.
Our first crystal at 41 minutes and 41 seconds for SuperNinTaylor.
All things considered, that's not too late in a seed for a Keysanity seed to get a first crystal.
No, absolutely not. It's not average.
Oh, flippers.
Flippers.
And after he just checked Catfish and Zora, oh, that's terrible.
It's a little bit of a knife twist there, I'm not going to lie.
At least he can flute to 8 and just jump in that portal really fast. That's not terrible. It's just kind of one of those ironic things, like, oh, I was just there and you give me this access, thanks. And speaking of, we have the lamp, which puts a lot more in logic in pod than was before.
Oh my goodness, that is big. So the story of this seed so far has been just go to the dungeon that you only are one item away from clearing. You'll get it.
Yeah, this actually, if they can do the hammer jump, this actually makes the whole thing a lot easier. Well, actually, no, they don't. Yeah, he does have the public key. I forgot it was an Aga Tower. So if they want to do if they can do the hammer jump, having the lamp makes everything a lot easier. As far as like the dark rooms are not bad if you've practiced them, but you know, if you're like me and you suck at dark rooms in pod, then the lamp is a wonderful thing to find in that chest.
Not a whole lot in Paradox Cave, unfortunately.
Oh, we have Ether, which appears to be confirmed by our tracker as Meyer access.
Meyer access, but without either hookshot or the boots, we can't really get past much the front door.
No, but they can, peek in the front door if they want to, and just think about how they can't get any further.
I mean, sure, it's like, hey guys, I'm gonna come back and kill you later. All right.
We've seen people do that with Swamp before. Just pop in and like, oh hey, I don't have the flippers, so I can't do anything about this. I've definitely never done that. Just
Never.
Yeah, never. I would never. I definitely didn't try to open Swamp in a daily with no flippers.
So Turtle Rock is Quake. Interesting. So we have Ether and Quake required. And you know what? Bombos could also be required. It could be our access to Ice Palace as well. We still don't have a fire source, either Fire Rod or Bombos, for that first room in Ice Palace.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's vanilla medallions this time around. A magic cape, which at this point we know doesn't actually lead to anything, but it's another nice safety, I guess. They already had the cane to burn us, so Spike Cave was already on the table.
And Yume pulls the small key to another small key to Pod, as well as the small key to Desert Palace. So that's another 2 treasure chests unlocked, and even more logic unlocked in Pod.
Yeah, and that's actually good news for them. If they don't want to do the hammer jump, they don't need to now. Unfortunately, trying to get over to Spike Cave, and they got fireballed by the Lionels.
Those Lionels are jerks.
They do pack a punch, even with blue mail. That low of a heart count, it's not something to mess around with.
Yume thought about going to Pod, but is ducking away.
And shout outs to Alpha Channel for the 2 months in a row $4.99 subscription. Thank you very much. So Yume is going to cash in on these flippers right now. Check the hobo. Maybe go and check the waterfall cave since they couldn't check it before.
Now this is a gamble, but it's one that I kind of like. You pick an item, you follow the breadcrumbs.
So what's interesting is there is something he could do which is not necessarily appealing. He could do the first half of Swamp.
Ew.
Yeah, it's definitely low on your list of options if you... well, there's our Turtle Rock access right there. I would say it's low on your list of options if you're still if you still have a lot of things left to do, but yeah, that is something that's on the table.
It is, and that's rough, I think, a little bit. So we see SuperNinTaylor trying to set up his hammer jump here.
Does a nice job, gets it on the first try.
Butter sword and a fairy in a bottle in the waterfall fairy cave. Okay, nice. I mean, butter over tempered is just nice.
Yeah, not something that they needed to come back for, unfortunately, but, you know, I wouldn't thumb my nose up at it. Okay, so it looks like, did he use all of his keys? He only had the 3, right? Yeah, so he's gonna have to come back at a later time.
Yeah, Yume will have a much easier time. We'll go ahead and be able to clear this out. Won't even have to hammer you up with 5 keys. Just has to avoid using that first key.
Yeah, unfortunately for Taylor, going up the mountain might have been the better play because the other 2 pod keys are up here that he could have full cleared with.
And yet Yume still uses the hammer.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that both options are attractive, and unfortunately one of them ends up being more efficient, but you can't make that call ahead of time.
That is actually SuperNinTaylor's first bottle, I believe, from the old man.
Oh, right, yeah, that's where Yume found their first one as well. Now, the interesting thing is, if Yume does pod first, they'll find the lamp, and Eastern Palace will be fully in the logic and a little bit easier to deal with. But I feel like in most cases, people go into Eastern Palace first because it's just a little bit easier.
I mean, I can see the perspective of doing both first. But knowing what we know, where the lamp is, yeah, we would definitely do pod first. But I don't blame him either way.
Yeah, it's just another one of those coin flips where both are kind of attractive options, but, you know, you find out later, well, this would have been easier if I did this. Happens in every seed, unfortunately. SuperNinTaylor picking up one of those pod keys that they probably would have liked to have had a few minutes ago. Speaking of that situation.
And lands that bomb jump. That's a difficult bomb jump to be able to get.
Yeah, I've landed that exactly one time. I need to study up on that one. It's a nice fancy bomb jump.
And sure enough, Yume is going to go ahead and do Eastern as predicted. Now, I don't recall there being a whole lot in... Oh, wait, the Eastern Big Key.
Yeah, just the big key, which basically helps them clear the dungeon. But that's a pretty convenient spot for it, I guess, if you haven't been here yet. And you actually have found the bow already. So, meanwhile, they are doing everything that each other's already done. So it might be a few minutes before we see any real divergence. Actually, interestingly enough, SuperNinTaylor has the ability to get into Turtle Rock, and they have a couple of small keys. So I wonder.
This could be interesting. Yeah. Come on, NinTaylor, be our hero.
Oh, nice. He almost got blocked, but he managed to keep just enough space there.
I was a little bit lucky there. It's all right.
Question in chat: Yume was checked. Yume did check the skip kit. The skip. Yeah. Oh my god, I can't talk. The sick kid, and it was just a big 20. Well, he's gonna open it at least, but the question is, does he feel like he's in a position where he wants to take this gamble right now?
You know, going in without Fire Rod and having to skip those 2 treasure chests on the right side, I don't know if I would. Yeah, and he's going away.
Yeah, it does make it a lot less attractive. You can get all the way to Mimic Cave at least, but, I mean, missing the Fire Rod and missing the big key, it's not a bad idea to hold out.
That's not to say that logically, I mean, that's in logic. There could be something there that we're missing.
Oh yeah, they could definitely be forced to do it, but it's definitely something you want to try to explore your options before you just jump right in sometimes. If they had the Fire Rod, I'd say it'd be a lot more of a let's do it situation, but without the Fire Rod, that's just a lot that you'd have to leave behind.
Yume did a rage slashes. It's like, oh, okay, thanks for this big key.
And SuperNinTaylor going into Hookshot Cave and realizing, I don't have the ways to get any of these chests, so he's going to go over here to Spike Cave. Or no, he didn't do Paradox yet, did he? So.
Yep, and this is where the flippers are, so he's going to be happy to see those.
Yeah, so we're waiting on one of them to go back to pod to see, with these extra keys, to see what we have in the back there. So we still have those as options. We still have, what do we have as options after that? We have Desert right side, and we have a fire source now, so we can actually kill Landmolas logically. Mire's still off the table. We have the front half of Swamp and the front half of Turtle Rock.
Yeah, we're quickly running out of areas, and I'm really kind of surprised that we're running out of areas this soon, where we're just kind of waiting to see what else can we get. That Fire Rod is really kind of holding us up, isn't it?
Yeah, that might be the biggest thing right now. Well, that and the hook shot might be the biggest thing holding us back right now. But Yume should be able to check for us soon what's in the back of pod, which will give us a little more of an indication of what might still be on the table. We'll have to see what Taylor does. He's probably going to take the flippers to check those few items first, and then end up going back to pod, maybe. Because who wants to do hookshotless swamp if you have other options?
Yeah, that's kind of the last thing you want to do, if possible.
Oh yeah, actually, Desert Palace would be a good play on Taylor's part because he hasn't actually been there. That's a good point, chat.
Yep, and oh, he still doesn't have the big key though. He's making the dive into Turtle Rock though.
Okay, well this could be interesting. Wait, where was the big key that he doesn't have it? Oh yeah, it was in Checkerboard Cave, so he has to actually go to the desert area to get it.
All right. Meanwhile, we see Yume going ahead and going into Pod. Does have his Eastern Palace crystal now. So SuperNinTaylor checking our first check, and it's just a big 20. We'll have to skip the remaining right side chests. Again, that Fire Rod is just key at this point.
Yeah, so essentially he's banking on Chain Chomp Room and Mimic Cave. I don't think that he will want to open the Vanilla Big Chest. I mean, I wouldn't. That can lead you to dangerous roads.
At this point in time, I think the general consensus is unless you absolutely have to, don't open that particular treasure chest.
Yeah, it's very infrequently worth doing. And unless you have 4 keys, it's really not in the logic. Or, I mean, I guess if you have literally nothing else to check and you don't have the big key to Turtle Rock, it's more in the logic than not. But yeah, it's just not something you want to mess with most times.
Meanwhile, Yume's putting all 5 keys that he has in Pod to good work. Skipped that first chest, so he'll be able to full clear everything in Pod in one swoop. This is going to play into Yume's strengths here to his advantage. NinTaylor will eventually have to come back. I think SuperNinTaylor actually cleared out all the treasure chests, but can't get to the boss, so he will have to route that in at some point.
Yeah, I'm not for sure if he got this vanilla big key chest, but doesn't look like it was worth much. So we're banking on the boss here, and then Mimic Cave on Taylor's side, and then I think we'll end up seeing Desert as our next full clear.
Wait, did you say SuperNinTaylor did check the vanilla big key chest?
No, he skipped it.
Okay,
he's waiting.
okay.
He's waiting on. I said we were waiting on Mimic Cave on his side to see if this was worth it. I think Discord's in a mood on me right now.
Discord's always in a mood with with people. It's been one of those weeks for Discord.
All right, so moment of truth for Taylor. Whether this will have been a worthy dip, and then we'll see where he goes from here. I'd imagine to the Zora area.
And that's a big no. This was not even remotely a worthy dip.
And Yume is working their way to the back of Pod, and we'll see. I think that Taylor checked everything back here, so we know they're not going to find too much of interest back here. Okay, Taylor was trying to go further, and now realizing no big key, I can't go anywhere. Maybe he thought he had the big key, and that's why he dipped in. That's unfortunate. Misery Mire is full clearable if you have a way in, which they don't have a way in. No boots, no hookshot.
Yeah, and we know those boots are kind of locking quite a bit. There's a big key that is on the library that we haven't seen, and there's also the powder that is in Desert. So quite a few things are being locked by boots right now. That might be another interesting pickup that we can see.
All right, Quake was in the back of Pod, so that's at least semi-interesting. And without the big key, as Taylor has found out, not as interesting, but yeah, that's a good thing to find anyway. Oh yeah, Taylor's gonna check out Spike Cave, which is in the logic with half magic and Cane of Burna and Bottle and Cape. He basically has like all the checks and balances for Spike Cave.
I mean, you only need a couple to put Spike Cave in Logic, but with all those, Spike Cave is really in Logic. And he's using Sparkles. Everyone loves Sparkles.
Yeah, the Cane's a little nicer, I think, in here than the Cape. Cape drains your magic a little faster, so I usually use the Cane if it's an option, if I have both. Okay, he's thinking about where to go. I think he's leaning towards Zora. Yeah, here we go. Or not.
He thought about it and then decided, you know what? I have something else I'd rather be doing.
Graveyard Ledge, maybe? That's all I can think of that's up here, really, that he would really be able to access.
Yeah, that Graveyard Ledge has trolled many runners in the past. I can definitely see why you would want to go ahead and do that.
And given where they've already been, it's not like there's a good time to work it in, so, I mean, why not? But he's going to prove us wrong and go to the... I don't know where he's going. Oh, Sick Kid? Maybe Sick Kid and Graveyard Ledge?
I was going to say, yeah, that's right. He hasn't checked Sick Kid yet because he only got his first bottle recently. Now, we know it's not a whole lot of anything, unfortunately.
Okay, meanwhile, Yume is making their way to Helmasaur, which will give us a little bit more information and tell us what kind of crappy option is next on the table, which, I don't know, Hookshotless Swamp seems a little bit like it's becoming a possibility here. So both of our runners are at least giving us a check that we haven't seen before, give us a little more information.
All right, so this wonderful Graveyard Ledge, this could have something for us. I'm hoping so, because I don't think I want to put anyone through Hookshotless Swamp.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yume has already been to Zora and already been up the mountain, so where are they going to go next is the question. I would say possibly Desert, since they have the small key and a fire source now. Meanwhile, Taylor is... Oh, I think he's going to go to Catfish and mirror to Zora, which is a pretty smart play.
Yep, good routing there by SuperNinTaylor, being able to route the Catfish and the Zora area check together. Wondering when he's going to go over to Desert and that area. I imagine Yume will head over there before too long as well, with that big key and the small key that he picked up as well.
Yeah, I would imagine that his options, I think, are going to be Hookshotless Swamp, go back to Pod and full clear it, and also Desert area, Mire area with the mirror. Well, basically Desert and area with the mirror, because he's already been to Mire. So of those options, I think Desert's most attractive, so he will probably end up over there sooner rather than later.
Desert, we should point out, is also the green pendant, so that's one extra item that you can get when you turn into Sahasrahla.
Yeah, it's never a bad idea to full clear the green pendant if you have the means and you are in there, especially with Desert being an easy clear. Yume is going back to Desert, it looks like, so they're going to kill the land molas, I would say, and then probably just turn the green pendant in. Unless the land molas have something amazing, they're not going to be able to do much else.
Well, at this point, I think Yume is absolutely hoping that if not Land Mollusk, then the right side of Desert Palace, because he did pick up the big key, or the small key, so that's 2 more locations. So in total, there's 4 item locations that Yume is going to be able to check between the 2 small, the Land Mollusk drop, and the green pendant. This is about as efficient as you can get at this point in time. We're still hoping beyond all hope that we can get something.
Well, first item is a strikeout, just a piece of art.
Strike 2.
Alright, so we're hanging all of our hopes on the Land Mollas and the green pendant, and then our options are just getting less attractive as they go. So the hookshot and the fire rod are just really holding us back right now. And I guess potentially Bombos if that's the way into Ice Palace.
Still quite a few items to check. It should be noted, I mean, we found Vanilla Eastern Palace big key. We had Checkerboard Desert big key, which is right next door. We found the lamp in Pod right before a bunch of dark rooms. Is it possible, this seed being the you'll get it just before you need it, that hookshot might be right in there in Swamp?
It's always a logical possibility. It's never the one you want to see. Vanilla hookshotless Swamp, I think, is dead last on the list of things that you want to do when you have that as an option. And so it looks like Taylor is going to go back and finish Pod off first instead, since he has 2 more small keys and now he knows he can.
And if you blinked, you missed that Land Mollusk fight. He gets bombs. Great. So strike 3. He's out of there. Let's go over to check Sahasra. Let's see what he gives us.
Yeah, Buttersword Landmole is pretty fast. So we're hanging our hopes on Sahasrala right now. And after that, I want to say we're definitely down to basically just dipping Swamp and hoping for the best. Of course, the real troll will be Turtle Rock, Big Key in Swamp, and Hookshot on Laser Bridge. That would never happen, though, right?
Oh, that never happens. I think Feasel made this seed, so, you know, there's not going to be a ton of troll possibilities. You never know, though. Oh, no, a map.
Well, Swamp, it looks like we're going to be paying you a visit without the hookshot, and he is bombing Sahasrala. He is unhappy with that time waste.
Yeah, Sahasrala deserves it, I think.
The plot thickens. Okay, so I think Yume is doing the let's do everything but hookshotless Swamp play and going to Graveyard Ledge first.
I don't blame him. Hookshotless Swamp is just absolutely horrible. So,
I mean, the hookshot, according to what he knows, could be in Graveyard Ledge, so why not?
Oh, I just thought of something horrible.
More horrible than hookshotless Swamp?
Oh, yes. Much more horrible than hookshotless Swamp.
Well, it looks like Yume deciding to go to the back of Thieves Town since they didn't do that yet. I forgot they hadn't gone that back there. So what are we thinking?
I'm thinking dip into Swamp Palace to get the big key to Tower of Hera, which leads you to go ahead and have to clear out Tower of Hera to blind pull a hookshot from the pedestal, which will then eventually lead you to the Fire Rod.
Well, that might actually be meaner than what I was thinking.
Chat has conditioned me to always think of the most horrible thing possible.
No, see, you got conditioned by chat. I just got conditioned by Randomizer. So unfortunately, Yume is not going to find what they're looking for here in the back of Evestown. They will get a pendant for their trouble, so yay. And now we get to see if Taylor will finally make that desert play. So they're really just working on whittling down their non-swamp options, I think, and then we will see which one of them manages to get done and work it down to that as the last option first.
Let's see. SuperNinTaylor. Oh, is going to desert finally. Or at least the desert area.
Yeah, we'll see if he checks Checkerboard Cave before he goes into desert, because that would be a lot more convenient. Yep, he's
and he is, okay. No, he's not, and he's going back.
Well, he thought about it, and he gave up on it.
It's like, nah, let's go ahead and get these out of the way.
Yeah, when he sees what's in Checkerboard Cave, he's probably going to regret that turn back.
This is one of those seeds that is just trolling both of these runners, and they've both got to just be discussed. I mean, I think they both think they're behind at this point in time.
Yeah, they have had a lot of funneling down to a few options here. They don't have they're not finding that hook shot, that fire rod, that access that they need. So I would imagine they're saying to themselves, "Where is this stuff, and why can't I find it?" And I'm sure just about anybody would feel behind in this case.
Taylor is going to be able to do this slightly more efficiently because he does have the small key here, but we'll still have to double dip, unfortunately.
Yeah, meanwhile, Yume is using some cane strats on blind, which is a pretty nice option to have on hand in case you get off script, which, you know, it's easy to do if you don't do everything exactly right.
So now he's going to go over here and check checkerboard and be immediately frustrated with his decision making.
And probably immediately go back into desert.
To be fair, Yume did as well. So I believe Yume ended up totaling 3 dips into desert, which is not great.
Well, at least it was just desert. Desert is not that hard to triple dip. It's a pretty short and small dungeon.
Yeah, and then Taylor lets his frustration be known.
Okay, now Yume is doing the graveyard ledge, and then I'm not sure what else they have on the table besides going to swamp. I mean, they can do the Turtle Rock thing, but that's pretty far out of the way, and if you're going to do half a Turtle Rock or half a swamp, if you're not up on the mountain, I think half a swamp is the winner in that case.
It'll be interesting. We'll see, because Yume, I think you're right, is just doing anything possible not to have to do that. So the first one into swamp feels like the winner at this point in time.
Yeah, if I had Fire Rod, I might be tempted to go to Turtle Rock before Swamp in this situation, but without the Fire Rod, I feel like Swamp is at least slightly more attractive. As attractive as Hookshotless Swamp can ever be, which is, you know, maybe like a 2 out of 10. But it only looks like he's going up the mountain. Oh, I don't think he's done Spike Cave either. Well, while we're waiting for somebody to make the move, shout outs to our tracker Dragonstrike, and also give them a follow. They're doing a good job keeping us up on all the items. Shout outs to Speed Gaming for throwing this tournament. It's been a crazy 5 weeks, well, 4 weeks so far, working on week 5. There's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes. So give Speed Gaming a follow if you enjoy what you're seeing. And shout outs to my co-commentator Vitasia, and give him a follow.
Oh, well, thank you. And return the favor here. I want to say, hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Recitador?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Whew. I was really worried there for a second.
It's okay. It's easy to mispronounce. Alright, Yume has discovered that Spike Cave is not the answer. They're going to the house, which is next to Swamp.
Looks like it's a swamp play.
Meanwhile, Taylor using some Ice Rod strats on the Landmolas, which is fun.
That's swaggy. I'll give him some swag for that.
It's a little bit harder to time than the Fire Rod, so it's nice to be able to pull it off.
You wonder if Yume is happy about this particular dip at all. He doesn't look happy.
Nobody's ever happy about this dip. Nobody. Even if you know that this is where you have to go because you don't have any other options, which I'm pretty sure is the situation that Yume is in right now, you're not happy about this dip. Even if you think you're going to find like the Fire Rod or the Hook Shot, and that's the item you just really need, nobody's happy about this dip. And SuperNinTaylor checking Agnes Cave. I don't actually remember seeing Yume do this, so I don't remember what's in here. But
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah.
Alright, so where is the answer going to be? Left side swamp? Seems like left side swamp's a good idea, or a good option, because it's the one you want the least.
At this point, it's got to be, where do you not want to go? And there's our Fire Rod!
Okay, well, the real question is, do you continue in hopes that you find something else, or do you go out of here and go to either Turtle Rock or Desert, or Ice Palace? Looks like Yume is feeling the go anywhere but hookshotless left side swamp.
I don't necessarily blame Yume, but this could cost him quite a bit if something else is in swamp. Wow.
Yeah, it could be a case of something that makes the path. What if the Turtle Rock key is in swamp, and you could have had the way to all the way to the back of Turtle Rock? But I don't. I don't necessarily blame them either. That's a pretty big item that opens up a lot, and swamp, as I said, in this situation is very unattractive.
Question in chat, what could possibly be on the pedestal at this point in time? Well, it's interesting. The only thing that we're missing to be able to go ahead and get the pedestal is Tower of Hera Big Key. That's it. Everything else that we do not have currently could be there. And SuperNinTaylor is also making that swamp play.
Yeah, pedestal insects is what? Hookshot, big Turtle Rock key, boots, which may or may not be required, depending on where the hookshot is, and any kind of fetch quest, I think, is what we're down to.
Feels like it. Yep.
And also, shout outs to the runners. I think I forgot to mention that before. Give them a follow as well. They're putting on a good show for us. There's been a lot of fun running in this tournament. The runners, all the runners, are doing a good job of putting on a show for us. So give SuperNinTaylor and Yume a follow as well. Alright, so looks like Taylor's going to continue and see what else he can pull out of Swamp.
This is kind of the defining moment in the race. They've been real close up to this point in time. If something else is here, SuperNinTaylor could take a large advantage at this point in time.
And this room without the boots or hookshot is kind of terrible.
This room is terrible anyway. I mean, let's be realistic. All of Ice Palace is terrible.
It's not too bad if you come in here with all the keys you need for access, but yeah. And we don't have the big key, so Swamp is actually 4 out of 6 items, or 4 out of 10 items that they can get, including the 2 very slow ones on the left side.
This is an interesting gamble. Zoma got big key to Tower of Hera.
Oh no. Well, that puts the back of Hera, or the top of Hera, and the pedestal in logic. Well,
Oh
actually,
my
no,
God.
no, we still need the Thieves Town Smoky, I think, so it basically just puts the top of Hera in logic, but it makes the pedestal pullable for these runners.
Guys, the dream is alive.
Yeah, until we see that Thieves Town Smoky, I won't definitely say anything's there, but they can access it, and it's definitely possible that they'll end up doing that, even without that Smoky. But if there's anything in here, and also on the on the pedestal, that puts Taylor in a pretty nice position for having continued forward.
Oh, absolutely.
Alright, Yume gonna do this bomb jump to skip over to this side, which is a little bit more efficient, and to getting to that one chest in the iced tea room that's just sort of out of the way no matter which way you route this.
Yeah, it's just a difficult play, no matter what. All right, so SuperNinTaylor, this is the last treasure chest other than that Tower of Hera big key. Is he gonna find? Nope.
Yeah, he's got one more chest to see if anything back here was worth it. Compass on the left side. It seems like it's pretty representative of how people feel about left side swamp. Meanwhile, Yume hasn't found too much in Ice Palace yet that's noteworthy. Having to do the vanilla bomb without the hook shot for the big chest. And finds the mushroom. Oh, wow.
The single rupee.
Wow. A compass and a single rupee. Ladies and gentlemen, that is left side swamp in a nutshell.
And that could be significant for Yume. If Yume doesn't head back until he's in go mode, that might be significant. But that, oh God, that big key could be significant as well.
Yeah, there's a possibility that either one of these runners just picked up something necessary. Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor, I think he's going to go defeat Mothula, which is definitely fully in the logic, so why not? And he's got a crystal, so hey. Yume making very quick work of Cold Stare with the gold sword there. Very fast fight, and gets... I didn't see what that was at all.
No, it didn't. I don't. It wasn't the hook shot. Oh, we know that much. Otherwise, chat would be going nuts.
Well, he's got a crystal, but not much else other than the mushroom. So unless the mushroom is in there, then unless the mushroom is
what?
Unless the hook shot is behind the mushroom, I can talk. I promise.
They're calling hook shot.
Oh, was it? I couldn't see it at all in the explosions. It was the hook shot.
Oh my God.
Wow. Okay. Well, turns out Ice Palace was a good idea.
That's going to make it a little bit more efficient there for you, mate. Got to be feeling good about that move then.
Alright, so now we are on the prowl for Turtle Rock Big Key, maybe? That's it? I think, yeah. Maybe the boots, if that's what's sitting on the library. But yeah, with the hook shot going back to Swamp and finishing it seems like a good idea. Could be something in the back.
Yume is also going over to Meyer, actually, and that is now in logic as well.
Yeah, the hookshot actually puts a lot of options on the table for them as far as where to go. They have Hookshot Cave, they have Mire, they have the back of Swamp, and all of those are viable options.
Last small key to Dark Palace on Mothula. And do we get a bird toss? Yume, we have a possibility of a bird toss. Come on. Yes! Bird toss.
It didn't even sink. What the heck was that?
Just go with it.
He got it right on the edge of the shallow water, so it was just sitting there. So Skull Woods wasn't worth too much, but other than a crystal.
And it's one of the 5/6 crystals, so I think it has some value there.
So will he go to Ice Palace? I think that would be the next best play, since he is, since he can fully clear it and it is another crystal. So he's got the Hera Big Key, but it's not necessarily something you want to rush towards when you have crystals to complete.
Absolutely. Yeah, the pedestal might be dead. It's not all dead. It's just mostly dead.
Yeah, only one item left, and we still haven't found that Thieves Town small key. So the pedestal hype index it's limping. It's not gone.
And we would be remiss if we didn't mention here at 8 o'clock Eastern, here in the next half hour, while Yume is getting ready to start his cutscene. 8 o'clock Eastern over on Speed Gaming 2, we do have Ginger Damas versus Ninban. And those two runners are both 3-1. So the winner of that one keeps their hopes alive for entering into the tournament. Loser goes home. I mean, they're already home, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, Yume choosing to do this left side, which isn't in the logic because they have 0 Myra keys. So it's an interesting, with only missing one item, I don't know if I would necessarily want to do this because of the time involved. But he found nothing, so unfortunately, just wasted a little time on that cutscene. Got the other single rupee.
Feels bad, man.
So we don't know where the Turtle Rock Big Key is, but we know where both single rupees are.
Well, what big keys are we missing? I think the only big keys we're missing at this point are Swamp Palace and Turtle Rock. So it's a 50-50 shot boots are required for the Turtle Rock Big Key.
The way this seed is going, I wouldn't be surprised at all. As Zelga is pointing out in chat, Misery Mire Big Chest and left side Swamp for the 2 single rupees. Two of the most time-consuming spots in the game that people are not fans of doing. So perfect placement for the 2 single rupees.
We promise, guys, Willard did not make this seed, I swear.
So far, Meyer is not giving us what we need, and we got a few things left to check here. Like, let's see, has he done the spike cave yet, or the spike chest yet? Yeah, okay, so he's just got the boss left. So the question is, does he go back to Swamp after this? Or does he go to Skull Woods?
You know, I'm not sure. Both are valid options, although neither of them will have the key that he's looking for, from what we can tell at this point in time. I think if I were him, I'd do Swamp Palace because there's more treasure opportunity in case you need to get the... oh, we have the Skull Woods Big Key. I don't know.
Yeah, one of them is faster and one of them is denser, so they both have arguments in their favor.
When in doubt, I always prefer density, but that's just me. And you know, I only have one win, so that might entirely be my problem.
I don't think that. I think that's a pretty valid way to look at it in Keysanity for sure. Alright, so will Vitreous be holding anything of worth for us today? We have the bow, we still don't have silver arrows, so this isn't going to be the quick fight it could be, but he does have Butter Sword, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Is Butter Sword 3 hearts right now? I'd be worried. 2 hearts even.
Well, he has cape and half magic too, so he can just turn on the cape and spam the sword, and should be pretty fun. And then you can, finish him off with 8 arrows, so get him a little bit from range.
That was a machine gun tactic right there. And a small key to Thieves Town.
Oh no. Well, there's our pedestal logic, and also a fetch quest of sorts, because the big chest, which is very far out of the way, has not been checked by either runner.
Yep, the pedestal index just went from 1 to 2, guys. It's hype, but it's not like a major shift in the Geiger counter there.
Yeah, so where's Yume gonna go next? Looks like they're gonna go for the fast option and kill Mothula.
And it's not a bad option in any regard. It's just a preference.
Yeah, so SuperNinTaylor is gonna have to be careful here with only 2 hearts. I think he might still have a fairy in a bottle though. They did get one of those along the way somewhere. Oh wait, unless did he ever do the Zora area? I'm not sure that he did.
And then Taylor going to go ahead and bomb this. If you're not confident in your hookshot strats... Oh, he doesn't have hookshot. Oh, right.
I was going to say, you can't be too confident with the hookshot where it's at. Definitely forced vanilla strats for that big chest today.
Oh, chat, I love you guys. I really do.
So this will put Taylor at 4 crystals, and and should put Yume at 5 crystals, it looks like.
Oh! He takes it. Oh, wait, he has his fairy. Okay, never mind.
Okay, so he did do the Zora area, and I just missed it. Or forgot about it.
Man, and here I was getting all hyped up. I was like, no! Oh, wait. And, yep, hook shot.
Okay, I could see it a lot better this time. The explosions didn't cover it nearly as much. Alright, so where's Taylor going to take this hookshot? He's got the same options, Hookshot Cave, which is pretty far out of the way, Mire, and Swamp, Finishing Swamp. Meanwhile, Yume gets Mothula down with the Butter Sword. It's pretty easy fight. Looks like SuperNinTaylor is going to go straight back to Swamp and finish that off. And I would imagine that Yume might be right behind them, because that's about the best option they have as well. The fun thing about the Turtle Rock Big Key being the only thing left to find is that there's so many places it could be in. I guess depending on how you want to define fun in this case.
I mean, yeah, fun is kind of in air quotes at this point in time. So yeah, SuperNinTaylor definitely going back to Swamp. I imagine Yume is heading back that way as well. I certainly wouldn't gamble on a Turtle Rock at this point in time.
Yeah, the best option they have right now is outside of Swamp is Hookshot Cave that they can fully 100% clear out, and that's out of the way. If they don't find what they need in Swamp, they can couple the Hookshot Cave with Turtle Rock, which is a little bit more attractive.
I might even couple the Hookshot Cave in with maybe a Tower of Hera check.
Oh yeah, and then there's that too, because Yume hasn't found that key yet, but they will. Oh, he's gonna do Pyramid Fairy actually. That's also a good choice.
Oh yeah, that's a solid choice there.
Because if he does find what he needs in the Pyramid Fairy, he can just go mode the rest of Swamp, which is always nice.
Yep. At this point, I think he's looking for Boots or the Turtle Rock Big Key. Again, he knows where one Big Key is. It's whether or not the Boots are going to lead him to that one or the Swamp Palace Big Key.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Going back in the Swamp without that Swamp Palace Big Key is one of those things that's just on your mind.
Well, we just don't know which key it is the problem. It could be the Swamp Palace Big Key, it could be the Turtle Rock Big Key. If it's the Turtle Rock, you go mode this and you just ignore everything else.
It's going to come down to where this key is or where the boots are for these runners in order to figure out who's got the good advantage. Just a couple of big 20s in the Pyramid Fairy, so
that is the cheapest fat fairy I think I've ever seen.
Okay, so now I would think Swamp. Yeah, there he goes. Alright, well that's our last Turtle Rock key, so that at least puts the big chest, or the big key chest on the table if they go back up there. Okay, and now we're down to Argus for progression, and then we're gonna have to go up to Hookshot Cave and back into Turtle Rock. Could also just be on the Firelock side.
Oh, wouldn't that be horrible?
Well, I think horrible would be Boots on the Firelock side and Key on the library being Turtle Rock Big Key.
I mean, I know you're creative in how well you hate people, but
the real question is, if you find Boots, say in Hookshot Cave, do you gamble and just go into Turtle Rock and hope vanilla, or do you go get that key?
Oh man, that's such a dangerous question. I mean, it really depends on how behind you feel. I might gamble it.
In Taylor's case, it would be an even worse question because he's already been into Turtle Rock once. So do you risk the triple dip, or do you just take your chances and go for that key and hope for the best?
I mean, regardless, that's another trip up Death Mountain. I mean, that would be rough regardless. Argus not having anything.
Yeah, Randomizer leads to a lot of philosophical questions along these lines, like, do I want to hurt myself in this way, or do I want to hurt myself in that way?
And which way is the game intending me to hurt myself?
Alright, so Taylor is going to go ahead and do the Pyramid Fairy, I would imagine as well, and then they're going to go up the mountain, because what else can they do right now?
I mean, I can think of a few things, but none of them are age appropriate for this particular stream.
And Hera, before Turtle Rock, I would imagine, too. I keep forgetting they found that big key.
Yeah, I feel like Hera's the play. I can't explain it, but Hera just seems like the play to me. I don't know why.
So the other philosophical question is, you complete Hera, do you go pull the pedestal before you go back into Turtle Rock? Or do you, again, roll the dice and go down and just do it because you're up on the mountain and hope for the best?
Well, it's one item location versus everything else in Turtle Rock, so I think I'd do Turtle Rock, but man, that would be rough.
Oh, actually, Taylor's got Meyer left. I keep forgetting that, too. He hasn't been to Meyer, so he will probably do that next.
That seems logical.
Well, after he does the mushroom, anyway. Chat, a question in chat. These runners are 2-2, so they're not playing for bracket spaces. They're basically just playing to see how their record shakes out at the end of this Swiss. So one of them will be 3-2 and one of them will be 2-3. So the other interesting thing is if they find boots first is that powder.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. How can we work the powder in?
Yume doing left side swamp, about to get their huge amount of value with their compass and their single rupee.
Man, I don't know if I've seen a more valuable left side swamp.
Maybe double compasses because you can't spend a compass.
SuperNinTaylor paused just a second before letting that bird. Are we going to have a double bird toss? 2 bird tosses? Yes!
This one was a little more effective because he got it in the deep water. Alright, so Taylor and Meyer not going to find what he needs. Yume doing the back of swamp, not going to find what he needs. Which one of them is going to get back up the mountain first? I lean Yume because they have less to check in swamp.
Absolutely. And you know SuperNinTaylor is still looking for that Turtle Rock Big Key or the boot, so he's going to full clear everything. Going to take some time.
I mean, the question is, will he do... or did he already do left side? No, he didn't do left side yet. Will he do left side knowing that you don't know that you need all 3 keys to have that in logic? It's not a bad idea to do it just because you never know where those 2 keys could be, but with only missing that one big key and that your options dwindling so far, it's hard to call whether it's a good idea. So I wonder, it's really hard whether we're going to see the boots or the big key first.
You never know. And we see NinTaylor is actually foregoing left side.
I don't disagree with this, given that he only has the 1 key. Or actually, I think they came in here with no keys. No, they did have 1. Because he knows that he needs all 3 of those keys to go over there logically. Missing only 1 or 2 items, it's not necessarily worth to attempt to just go over there anyway.
So SuperNinTaylor has used his fairy, is at 2 hearts, and getting ready for kind of an interesting fight here.
This is another case where that cape's going to come in handy. Alright, Yume has gotten Argus down, and they have nothing left but going back up the mountain and full clearing the rest of that. Well, to the extent that they can, because they don't have, say, the Tower of Harris small key, for instance. So there's going to be some stuff that they'll have to leave behind based on access, but they can check a lot up there right now. They haven't even been into Turtle Rock, so that's the main difference, I think, between the runners right now.
Shout out to Zelgadis in chat, who's saying, we're talking all of this stuff, and he's saying, we still have the Thieves Town Big Chest as well, which it totally could be it,
Yeah.
which would be horrible.
The Thieves Town Big Chest might actually be worst case scenario at this point. More so than the pedestal.
Eight quick shots from SuperNinTaylor, and down goes Vitreous. So both of these runners are kind of neck and neck. It's only a minute at the most separating these two runners. It's just who finds what first.
Yeah, it's basically down to that Turtle Rock dip that Taylor did earlier, as far as what's separating them. Oh, no, he's going to go ahead and go back in and do left side. Actually, he only got 4 items, so it looks like he skipped more than left side.
Yeah, man, this is... I don't know if this is the most efficient routing, just because this room... I hate this particular room that NinTaylor just blew through. It's just too much time spent, especially when you don't even have boots to make it any quicker.
Yeah, if he was going to check everything regardless, he should have just gone straight left or right. It would have been the most efficient.
Alright, so Yume getting ready to check. Just getting some bombs. The map to Swamp Palace.
Alright, one more chance for Tower of Hera to pay out, and then they're going to go check Hookshot Cave, and then we'll see what they do. They have a couple of interesting options to choose from, none of which are super attractive right now. I think in this case you roll the dice and hope that it's vanilla, because you have access all the way back to Mimic Cave.
As much stuff has been vanilla in this particular run, or close to vanilla, I think you make that gamble too.
I just realized, so left side Mire and Swamp both had a compass and a single green rupee.
Are you sure this isn't a plan, though? Oh no, and there's the book.
Uh-oh, well at least he's right next to the ether tablet, so you can check that.
Oh, Yume gets
That
his
also-
third pendant and the book.
Yeah, that also opens the Bombos tablet, which is another unattractive option based on how far away it is from anything that they have left.
You know, what do you think these runners are thinking right now? Just going, what the heck is the seed?
I think they're not happy with their
Single
options. I'm guessing Yume has some form of 4-letter words on their mind right now based on what they just found.
There's a few 4-letter words I can imagine, yep.
So they're going to check Hookshot Cave. They're probably just going to hope for the best and go into Turtle Rock, because why not? You got access to everything back to Mimic Cave, including the big key chest, which is the trolliest chest in there, but you have all 4 keys, so you can just go ahead and check it. And having all 4 keys before going in there, that chest would definitely be on my mind.
Yeah, it's an attractive option. We'll see Yume go ahead and do Spike Cave, of course, ahead of time. But I think you brought up an interesting question. If you find the boots first, there is that one big key that's sitting in library. That big key could be either the Turtle Rock big key or the Swamp Palace big key.
Well, it depends on where you find them. If you find them in Hookshot Cave, it's a little more attractive to go back down the mountain for that key. not very much. But if you find them inside Turtle Rock, you just keep going. But I don't know if it would be attractive at all. But you just got to clear out Turtle Rock and hope for the best. Which
Red
we know.
nail, yep, nothing.
Yeah, we know the only possibilities are the right side firelock and the firelock section and the big key chest.
Oh man, so Yume is going in. SuperNinTaylor is on his way up as well.
Yeah, SuperNinTaylor has to check Hookshot Cave and Hera though before they go back into Turtle Rock. At least that would be the ideal situation for them as far as what to check. It would be a little dangerous to just jump into Turtle Rock without going to those locations first.
All right, so Yume starting his way. We'll see what decision SuperNinTaylor ends up making.
And Yume's about to give us our first glimpse into the firelock section, which will answer at least some of our questions. Might answer them with a I don't know, but it'll be an answer.
And SuperNinTaylor is going right to Palace or to Turtle Rock.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Nothing on that right side. Oh my goodness.
I mean, he would likely have to do this anyway after he does Hera, so I guess he's just rolling the dice.
Our runners are in the same room. This has been such an amazing tight race.
Yeah, so for as far as our knowledge goes, we are down to the big key chest here in Turtle Rock before we are forced to go check any number of unattractive options. One of them being Pedestal Pull, one of them being Thieves Town Big Chest, one of them being Bombo's Tablet. All of those are pretty far out of the way at this point.
They are far out of the way and incredibly unattractive options no matter who you are. I mean, this is getting hype and it's getting tight, and these runners, of course, feel way behind.
Of those options that we have, I would probably just go to the pedestal first because I put in the work for that pedestal item, so hey, I'm gonna go get it. Oh, it looks like Taylor was thinking about not going to the big key chest, which I don't blame him for hesitating on because it is pretty far in for that one item.
And a little bit of trivia that I bring up anytime we're in this position. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been commentating since the beginning of the open mode tournament. I have been doing commentary. Nope, nothing there. I've been doing commentary for over 70 matches at this point in time. I still have never commentated a pedestal required seed. This could be it. I'm excited.
Well, I don't know if you're going to get your pedestal required seed, but you are probably going to get a blind pull. Alright, so Taylor is going to get his heart piece here and back out. Probably go to Hera. Yume is going to find Mimic Cave to be not worth, and I would say go pull the pedestal. If it were me, that's what I would do next. I think Yume still has a slight edge in this case because they have completed more.
I mean, it's close no matter what. So SuperNinTaylor is going over here to Tower of Hera, looks like.
Yeah, it's basically the best option that he has left on the table. Everything else is just out of the way and kind of obnoxious right now. All right, we're fluting to 3. I think this is it.
This is the ped pull. All right, everyone, get your hype. We have a roughly 33-ish% chance that progression of some sort, if not the key, then the boots are on here. What's your guess? Is it going to be, what, a big 20? Is it going to be progression? What do we have here?
I don't even know if I want to guess at this point where the troll is sitting. Pedestal is fully in the logic, so it does seem like it could be a thing.
And he's blind pulling. He's not checking it. Oh, Yume, you are my hero.
Yeah, you don't check in this situation. You just pull that thing. And you get... Oh no!
Big key to Turtle Rock!
Oh man. Well, you got your first pedestal commentary.
The dream is alive! And Yume is not happy.
Alright, so 1 hour 55 minutes. We are in go mode for Yume by pulling the pedestal for the Turtle Rock Big Key. Which means
so happy I could cry.
At least we know that the Swamp Big Key is now the key on the library and is probably the boots are in Ganon's Tower or something silly like that.
So the question becomes, what does SuperNinTaylor do? Does he immediately go down and pull Ped? Or does he check some of these other etc. locations?
With the options you have on the table, you 100% go pull the pedestal first. Because, well, after he checks the Ether tablet, obviously.
And gets the nice, you know, swearing at the game that follows the single arrow coming down from Ether.
Yeah, Taylor's more than likely going to go check the pedestal first, and then after that, his options are, you know, go to the Thieves' Town Big Chest. So he's probably thinking, I'll do one and then I'll do the other. But at least he won't have to do the other.
All right, so we're a bootless and silverless seed. I don't think Yume is going to be checking anything that isn't just right in his path at this point in time. He might open the big chest here, but we don't know what it is. Oh, I bet he's not even going to do that, really.
Yeah, Butter Sword, who needs silvers at this point? You just want to get the seed done. You're coming up on 2 hours, probably feeling pretty behind. You've checked like everything except for these weird one-off options, and you just now pulled the pedestal for the Turtle Rock Big Key. This is the kind of seed everybody feels behind in. SuperNinTaylor pulling that Turtle Rock Big Key, also not too happy. Puts on a little less of a show for it, though. He probably feels behind enough that he doesn't feel like he can afford the time.
Yep, it's an execution race. Still, not a lot of time separating these two, so SuperNinTaylor is going to go ahead, get some safeties, pick up another blue potion.
Alright, Yume going through Go Mode Turtle Rock, well, what they haven't already checked, which is nice because they don't have to check Laser Bridge at least. Go Mode Turtle Rock in Keysanity is a slightly different prospect because in open you're still looking for a key. In Keysanity you already have what you need, so you just go on through, you don't open anything, just ignore every chest. It's nicer when you can Go Mode it from the front instead of the middle, but it's still a nice thing. And we are going to have a Go Mode Ganon's Tower, which in Keysanity, again, is a slightly different prospect because you can just go straight upstairs and open 0 chests. And if you're lucky enough to have the compass, which is the only reason you'd want to have the compass, in my opinion, is so that you can see that nice 0 out of 27 the whole way up.
All right, Yume has a fair health pool at this point in time. Red mail, silvers, or no silvers, but butter sword shouldn't be too terribly bad. Also has that safety fairy that SuperNinTaylor did use earlier.
Yeah, and Trinex with the butter sword, it's pretty quick prospect. Just a few quick hits, and he goes down. So if you do it right, you can do it without damage. Without the boots, we won't get the fast quick kill because you can't get behind him fast enough. But Butter Sword is pretty fast in itself.
This is absolutely true. So we see Yume on try next, Butter Sword. This should be relatively fast here.
And the funny thing is, I haven't commentated nearly as many seeds as you, but I'm pretty sure that was my first pedestal seed as well, out of all 8 seeds that I've commentated.
Hey, you're not doing too bad then. I mean, that record is quite a bit easier on you than mine was. So Yume, Ganon Tower is down, gets one more heart just for the heck of it, and Crystal off to Ganon's Tower at 2 hours.
Yes, the best of Ganon's Towers, where you don't have to do anything but go upstairs and do the gauntlet. Which, with the equipment they have, should not be that big of a deal.
So Yume will start up. SuperNinTaylor working his way through this firebar room. I would say there's a unit of measurement that I've seen peddled around here called Ganon Falls. The amount of time you would lose or gain with every Ganon Fall. I would say at this point in time, SuperNinTaylor is only maybe 1, maybe 2 Ganon Falls behind Yume at this point.
I don't know the math on that, but it seems correct.
It's an imprecise science here.
No silvers for the gauntlet, but they have Fire Rod and half magic, so that should make quick work of most things. Basically, the silvers are nicest for these guys right here.
I mean, I still put silvers up there with, I really like to have them for Ganon myself, but that's just me.
If I have Master Sword, definitely, because I have not done that yet, but Tempered or Butter, I can at least muddle my way through. It's not usually pretty, but it's doable. Alright, Taylor getting their last crystal. They're also going to head over to Ganon's Tower and go mode it. Meanwhile, Yume making their way up the gauntlet. Looks like they're going to go ahead and use arrows instead of the fire rod. Interesting. The Butter Sword, they shouldn't need to use too many arrows anyway.
Shouldn't. Some people still like to use those arrows because they're pesky.
Yeah, mostly on the Stalfos because they're one shot. Alright, so he's already basically through the gauntlet, just got to kill the land molas, and then he can move upstairs to the somewhat easier rooms of the tower.
All right, got the nice kill on Landmola 2.
Alright, and SuperNinTaylor approaching the gauntlet as Yume exits the gauntlet, so this is pretty close. The difference at this point might be that early Turtle Rock tip.
Yeah, I really think that's going to be the main difference. I mean, you can see a couple times where it's going to be execution based. You know, whoever has better execution going up here through the gauntlet. I can see SuperNinTaylor might make up some time, especially bootless. But man, this is just so close at this point in time.
All right, Yume doing the lamp strats in here. Don't want to save a little bit of magic. And so we'll see if they want to open any of the last 4 chests, because they are basically right in front of you, just to see if they get silvers. But if they feel 2 behind, they're probably not going to want to. And
Yeah,
they're
no.
just saying no.
Won't even be able to get the safety fairies here because no magic powder. Those were boots locked in the desert. So this is kind of interesting.
Well, I think they still might have a potion or 2. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think both of them have a potion, so I'm not terribly worried about either of them at this point in time.
Alright, so Moldorm 2 is down. We decided to check and get 10 arrows in the last chest of the game. Not the arrows we were looking for.
You would get excited for like half of a second there. Oh my goodness, this room without boots. Ugh. But Yume handles it like a pro.
Yeah, so Yume is approaching Aghanim 2 while SuperNinTaylor is leaving the gauntlet. Again, pretty close here. So that 1 Ganon fall math seems pretty legit right now.
One and one so far, no doubles, but has a nice lineup here. I jinxed him. Sorry, Yume.
Yeah, unfortunately that's the one they didn't get one on. You had was able to get a double there, but didn't turn quite in time.
Not
But
the
there we
world's
go.
best Aga fight. I think SuperNinTaylor can make up some time with a solid Aga fight there, but Yume is on his way over to Ganon.
Yeah, so it might come down to Ganon execution, which with Silverless is not a guaranteed good fight. Any number of things can happen while you're trying to take care of a Silverless Ganon.
SuperNinTaylor is at least checked one treasure chest and picked up another key, looks like.
Alright, already in phase 2 on Ganon. Should be in phase 3 rather shortly.
And SuperNinTaylor checks that other chest just before Moldorm 2, and nothing as well.
So the only thing it could have been of any worth was the silvers, at least, and I think that those are going to end up being outside of Ganon's tower somewhere. Or actually, they're very probably in the basement, which is, unfortunate, but being able to go mode Ganon's tower is worth.
In my tower, absolutely. So silvers are in the basement at GT.
Alright,
we have
we're starting
silverless.
Run. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was literally saying the same thing that you were doing as well.
Alright, at least he got the torch glitch. That makes this a little less obnoxious, but I think he has a magic potion too if he needs it.
I believe he does. I think he also has a fairy just in case he needs it, as long as he doesn't fall.
Alright, meanwhile SuperNinTaylor is going to drop in on the Ganon fight while this one's still going on, so incredibly close, but unless something happens here, it's not going to be enough.
Yep, and there's YumeTsubasaCH. with the death of the big pig, GG YumeTsubasa will be able to read his time as soon as he crosses that bridge.
Oh, yeah, Yume, not a huge fan of what happened.
And of course, cool seed, right? GG Yume with a official SRL time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 50 seconds. That was totally a cool seed, right?
Yume says they will be with us in just a few minutes after they go to the salt mines and unload a little bit. Meanwhile, Taylor's starting their fight and already about to start their silverless run.
So this was a required double dip into Swamp in order to get the Fire Rod, which you needed to unlock Ice Palace, which is where the hookshot was, right?
Yes, it was required. You didn't have to go past the second chest, but it's hard to make that call, so Yume actually ended up saving a little bit of time making that call to start with, but they did left side later, so it sort of washed out on that one.
Well, and saving time, being able to loop that left side in all in one fall as opposed to having to fall down, re-climb the stairs back up.
Taylor doing a pretty nice job on this silverless. Should be just a few more hits. Ooh, that was a little close.
And GG to SuperNinTaylor. This was a heck of a seed to open up round 5 for this wonderful Keysanity tournament. GG to both of our runners, YumeTsubasa and SuperNinTaylor. While we're waiting on them to join us in the comm room, go ahead and give these guys a follow here on Twitch if you have not done so. I think they are listed here. We'll get the links here in chat. GG, both SuperNinTaylor and YumeTsubasa. Shout out also to our tracker, Dragonstrike1988, the whole speed gaming community, and of course, Recitador, my wonderful co-cops. Thank you, sir.
And thank you as well, Vitasia. You've been doing a good job with right alongside me. Should be interesting to get some thoughts on this seed and all of the loops it took you through, or hoops it made you jump through to get things. And the many times that they had some not so attractive options on the table.
I do remember telling both of these runners in SRL chat before this seed started. It's like, oh yeah, you guys won't have to worry about Ped tonight. I'm commentating. I'm cursed.
So that was a reverse curse right there, I think.
And first one in the door is SuperNinTaylor.
One sec. I have Discord muted. Hello?
GG, SuperNinTaylor. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, thank you. I'm doing all right.
So, that seed.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Pedestal seed. I'm sure the chat loved it.
Chat went nuts a few different times. They went nuts for Pedestal. They went nuts for Hookshot being on Cold Stare.
Yeah, we were actually
pretty
Sorry,
intense seed. I'll just say that was a pretty intense seed.
We were actually sort of discounting the pedestal for a little bit there when we were down to the Turtle Rock Big Key, and then we found the Thieves Town Small Key, and started to really consider it again after that.
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering about pedestal all game for some reason.
Yeah, we didn't have all the pieces at first, but once we found them all, it started to look a little more attractive again.
Yeah.
And joining us is YumeTsubasa. Yume, sir. So, what do you think of this seed?
I guess it's best if I don't say anything. Man, that was the third seed in this tournament where I was bootless. Actually. Gosh dang it.
I wonder where they were. Probably somewhere in Ganon's Tower, I guess.
I think so, yeah. Or, Turtle Rock. Probably,
Laser Bridge?
I don't know. Yeah, Laser Bridge. I didn't check everything there. Well, I did not check anything there.
Yeah,
For a
so
while, I was kind of thinking that the big key, the Turtle Rock big key, was in the library, and we were looking for boots.
Yeah, actually, when I got, like, what was it? A small key and the map in Kakariko for Turtle Rock and saw that big key, I was like, oh no, please.
Yeah.
But hey, it got even worse. Man.
Yeah, unfortunately. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was super close the entire time. I think the really only differentiating factor between the two, there are a couple things that you could point to. The first one, SuperNinTaylor had an earlier dip into Turtle Rock where he kind of dipped in and tried to clear everything out, and that really didn't work out for him before you had the big key. And then Yume, I think you saved a little bit of time by when your first dip into Swamp Palace, you got the fire rod and then noped out of there.
Not sure I won that much time because I cleared the rest anyways later on.
Yeah, I was really originally I wasn't gonna do the early Turtle Rock dip. So I think I got something. Oh, it's flippers, I think, that opened up a lot. And I was like, I don't really need to go to Turtle Rock right now, but I was there and I was like, I'm just gonna do a quick check anyway. But didn't quite work out. Yeah, I was gonna skip it, but then I just ended up going back anyway.
It feels bad to not have the boots, but at least near the end there, the worst case scenario might have been to actually find the boots, because in Turtle Rock or something. So it may have, despite being bootless, it might have been the best scenario for you.
Yeah, just so it didn't open up other spots, you mean?
Yeah, because you were whittled down to a few options, and
yeah,
you already had some unattractive options on the table that were pretty far away from each other.
Yep.
What was your guys' thoughts? You killed the last boss in Tower of Hera for your pendant, your third pendant, and then the book drops down and you're just thinking, oh my god, that just opens up so many other spots.
I actually thought it was kind of funny, to be honest. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, first off, I thought probably it's gonna be Bombos because that is way out of the way at that point. And then, yeah, I decided to first go into T-Rock if the big key would be there. I mean, got another vanilla small key, big key, which was in the right spot even in Eastern. So yeah, I was kind of glad to actually see it on the pedestal. I didn't even read the text. I was just like, well, let's just pull that.
No, I didn't read it either. I mean, the rules are if you have all the pendants, you pull it. You don't bother reading it.
Yeah, it doesn't lose that much time. What is it, like 10 seconds probably?
Yeah. Plus it's boring if you read it first.
Yeah.
So this is one of those seeds that I think both of you can confirm that you might just feel behind the entire time because you're checking everything. Was there ever a point in time where you guys felt comfortable and you're like, yeah, I'm doing good, I got this?
No, I think I felt pretty much behind the whole race. Maybe early on I felt okay just doing the general route and finding Hammer and Skull pretty early. I felt okay then, but I don't know, for the majority of the race I felt pretty behind.
Honestly, when I got the Fire Rod in Swamp Palace, I was like, okay, I guess I lost. for real, because I checked everything except for T-Rock before that, and yeah, it was
I think I checked
50-50.
everything, including Turtle Rock, before going in there.
Yeah, still I felt so late on that because we had most of the stuff relatively early.
Yeah.
I think Hook Shotless Swamp being the play is enough to make anybody feel behind.
Yeah.
So I know both of you, and you both made the same play, and I think I saw like some double takes that you guys went through. That Eastern Palace big key being completely vanilla. Like it felt like you guys were just dipping in and then we're gonna duck out and hit pod, and you were like, "Oh wait, I can do this now."
No, I kind of picked up immediately on the fact it was the Eastern Big Key just because there was no text, but I wasn't really expecting that at all. I was expecting to open that chest and then just mirror out and do pod. But it was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, kind of the same here. I was waiting for the text box and then, wait, no text box. Okay, let's do the rest.
Oh, did you full clear pod? I ended up double dipping it because I don't know if they fixed the pod logic yet. I know you can soft lock if you go straight to the boss, so I wasn't sure if they fixed that or not, so I kind of full cleared it and went back later.
Nah, I actually had 5 small keys by the time, and the big key when I got to pod.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I could do that in one go.
I
Yeah,
guess
if you
I double dipped a bit more this seed.
Yeah, if you went up the mountain, you were able to find the last 2 pod keys if you went up the mountain first before you go into pod.
Yeah. Yeah, too much double dipping for me. I guess my routing didn't quite work out this race.
All in all, you had a very close race at the end there. The major difference might have been the Turtle Rock early dip.
Mm-hmm.
Well, GG to YumeTsubasa and SuperNinTaylor. I mean, this was just kind of a for giggles and for honor match. So, but thank you guys for opening up round 5 with the best seed of the match.
Yeah.
Round 5 so far.
Yeah,
So
GG to both of
far.
you.
Aren't we like the first race of the round?
Absolutely, yeah.
Still the best.
Always got to start off the week with a bang.
Yeah.
And that bang that you heard was just someone's head hitting their desk when they... Yeah.
So anything else to add about this wonderful seed?
It was fun. I enjoyed the tournament, and I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, same here. Even though I barely made it in the positive.
Alright, well, we've got currently another race between Ninban and Ginger Damas on Speed Gaming 2. Coming up on this channel at 11, we have... also on Speed Gaming 2, we have Zaphoid, Beeblebrucks, and Elminster, which is a 3-0 race, or a 4-0 race. And then we have many other matches for the rest of the week. Still a lot of people playing, even those that aren't making the brackets are going to go ahead and put on a show for us, so stay tuned for all of those. Anything else to add, Vitasia?
No, just lots of rando. Get your dosage of rando, because after this week, we're going to be slimmed down to just the top 8. I'm going to go ahead and plug it because it has major implications. On Wednesday at 9 o'clock is a major match between In the Name of DT versus Andy. We don't have a channel assigned to that yet, but just plan on being there. Andy is 4-0. In the Name of DT is 3-1. This is kind of an interesting race. If Andy wins, that means 7 spots will go to undefeated, and only one person from the 3-1 match will end up getting into the final 8. But if DT wins, that puts Andy at 1 loss, and then 2 people at 1 loss will get in. So that's a match that everyone's going to want to circle and stay tuned for if you can get there.
Alright, so I think we might be wrapping up here. Anything else?
Nope, that should do it. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Well, GG to the runners. Thanks to our tracker. Thanks to my co-commentator Batasia, and thanks again to Speed Gaming for throwing all of this together and putting a lot of work into this. So, I have been Recedador,
And I'm Vitasia.
and everyone have a good night.